know, it's said that when somebody has a passion, they'll go to whatever extent to achieve what their dream is. And one such gentleman, in fact, studied in the US, studied theatre. Now, theatre's only fairly new to Thailand in its modern form, particularly in the musical form. And I'm talking about Kun Takotkiat Wirawan, or Kumboy, who's actually decided to put together another musical. He's putting together Miss Saigon, but before we talk about Miss Saigon, we're going to find out what inspires him. How does he get the audience to actually come to him at the theatre, at Muang Thai Ratchathai Theatre? We're going to interview him on the set for, of course, Miss Saigon, but he's done many, many other things too. Where Kunboy is actually having his group do a rehearsal for Miss Saigon. So I know he's got a very busy schedule. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I'd like to talk about, before we talk about Miss Saigon, because we're going to cover that a little later. Did you have a passion for theatre before you even went to the States, or did it develop in the States?
I think I did. As a matter of fact, when I was a child, it's just, I guess, like every kid, when you watch something on TV and you just want to be somebody on television like that. I guess it started with the
program, right?
But it started with the superheroes, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like the Ultraman and all that Japanese superheroes, even the Thai superheroes, like Hanuman or something like that, and so you kind of like imitate. I kind of like wanted to imitate them at first, and then it grew. It kind of grew into the performing arts somehow. Even like the Disney characters came here for their show, for their stage show. It wasn't on ice yet.
That's true. When
it was still on the ground, and I remember going to see it and just loved it, and I just bought all the masks and all that, and do something at home.
Your own
and stuff like
performance,
that.
yeah.
Right. So I guess it started that way.
And then you went to the States, you studied further, but during your study you probably realised that there wasn't a lot of theatre as you were thinking about Western theatre per se in Thailand, and that was going to take some time to come. Were you ever tempted to actually work overseas for a long period or become involved in theatre in the UK, US?
I went to school in the States,
Yes.
and I remember for a period of time that I was thinking that should I stay in the States and study theater and maybe hope to be able to do theater in the States for a very short period of time.
And then father and mother got on the phone.
No, actually no. Until one summer I came home and meeting all the friends and all the people here, I just said, there's nothing like home.
True.
And that idea just kind of faded away and said, no way, I want to live here.
You want to live
I want to
here?
live in Thailand. And that was the beginning of something that if I was gonna live in Thailand and if I wanted to do theater or do something that I love, how do I get started? How do I prepare for that?
So the first thing that you prepared with was Thai theatre. You actually had your first show, I think, was 15 years ago now.
Yes, it was 1997.
Right, and obviously that captured a particular audience for you, and then you developed from there, and you had performances, and then I think in the middle somehow you actually went to work. Did you in Broadway?
Yes, actually, well, since we had done so many shows, and we have our own theater. In 2007, we started having our own theater, which is the Muang Thai Ratchathai Theater on the Esplanade. We were approached by people overseas and said, "Would you be interested in coming on board, be one of the investors or co-producers in a Broadway show?" And it was actually Joseph Smith.
Oh, was it? Okay. Small world, let me tell you.
from the old Vic. He was involved in Promises,
Yes,
on Broadway
which,
a few years ago. And actually, I did invest in his production of Spring Awakening in London. We were connected somehow. And so we knew each other. And then when he went over to Broadway, he called me up and said, would you be interested in being an investor in a Broadway show? And I said, okay, what's
What
the
do you
show?
want?
What's
the show?
And he said, promises. It's going to star Sean Hayes and Kristen Chenoweth. And I was like, oh, wow.
What an opportunity.
It was an opportunity, but it was a risk. And then I was talking to my wife, and I said, should I do it? Should we go over and do it? And she said, Sean Hayes, oh my God.
We've got to go.
So it was my wife liking Sean Hayes so much that got me.
Got you there. And it went from there.
Yes, it went from there, and then we were involved also in How to Succeed in Business.
Yes,
that
without
was a trial
trying.
with Daniel Radcliffe, starring in it. On a Clear Day, You Can See Forever, $1 Million Quartet, Liz Estrada Jones, and right now, which is on Broadway right now, is Nice Work If You Can Get It.
That's right.
With Matthew Broderick and Kelly
So
O'Hara.
that side of the business is going very well. When did you decide that, did you decide to actually develop the theatre because there was no theatre that suited your purposes here? I mean, you own the Muang Thai Ratchadalai Theatre on Ratchada. Is it because, I think one of the reasons was the Thai Cultural Centre perhaps was always booked or you
Right.
couldn't get it when you wanted it?
Right.
So, I mean, but actually to commit yourself to a theatre, I mean, that's a bit OTT, isn't it? Did your wife say that was okay too?
Well, kind of. Since we started in 1997 with live theater, we were, before we knew it, we were developing so many talents, so many talented people, whether it's on stage or off stage, but to be able to do a show once every 2 years at the Thailand Cultural Center because it was always booked, I mean that a waste of talent.
Certainly.
You know, I was saying that, you know, my God, all these people are so talented. How do we have work for them continuously? Otherwise, it wouldn't be a profession. And so we were talking, and then my team and I were talking, and says, we need a home, we need a theater, and to be able to, we need a place to be able to have those people just let it all out. And so we decided to build a theater.
I think that's one of the issues here, isn't it? Because we don't have as much theatre as you would like, perhaps. But
Right.
it's the fact that, you know, what happens to the actors and the actresses, the dancers, the singers? You know, there's not that many performances, so I guess the rest of the time they're having to work in a restaurant or work in their family business, or...
Yes, yes. But you see, I think that is the same thing in every country.
Even London, even US?
London,
Oh,
even
really?
the US,
Okay.
of course. I mean, I don't know what the statistic is now, but when I was in school in the States more than 20 years ago, I think about 12% of the members of the Actors Equity have work on stage.
Gee, that's low, isn't it?
It is.
Very, very low.
So it is a risky business, and you have to keep yourself up to date, up to the standard
Yes.
of the requirement.
And you've got to understand what the audience want too. I mean, you can
Right.
actually give them one thing, but the audience has to be nurtured, doesn't it? It has to be educated.
Yes.
That's also a process here that's working a bit slowly, do you think?
Well, no, because
In other words, you're making money.
No, because we could see the number of audiences growing.
Yes.
From the first production that we did 11 performances at the Thailand Cultural Center. Until last year, we did 100 performances of the Four Rains,
Yes.
and that was something.
Sure.
That stirred up a lot of interest in live theater, and every now and then when I go to the Esplanade and in the elevators, and I would see people saying, which floor is it? Which floor is it? You know,
Yeah, it's
going
true
to
actually.
the
It's
show,
true.
going to the show and said, which floor is it, which floor is it? Meaning they had never been there
Before. So there's a new audience coming in.
New audience coming in. And the old audience will keep building up. I think that's a good start. It is a good start, but it's still...
It's a process, isn't it?
It's a process, but as you know, live theater anywhere in the world
It's
right
true.
now with television and movies are very difficult.
Well, indeed. The actual area of, everyone talks about opening up the AEC, that's going to make such a difference. Does it make a difference to your business? I mean, when we look around at all the statistics, how does it fit, the theatre moving around? I mean, if you actually have something here and there's another performance in Singapore, are you in a position where you could actually move your whole show, or would you still prefer to be here?
The language problem.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be the language problem. That's the only thing. Because
it needs to be in Thai
it needs to be in Thai here. And even in Singapore, even though we're very close, but it's still
a different language and a different market.
Language, a different language, a different market, different kinds of people, different kinds of population. So it's quite. The Thais are Thais, as you would know.
I do, and it's a different audience. And it's all right, people saying, they have to adapt to us, which I don't agree with at all.
Right.
It's understanding what the Thais want and then giving them what they want, rather than trying to give them something, and educating. Exactly
them,
right.
More and more.
We've seen that with theatre, we've seen that with opera, we've seen it with so many other areas.
Right.
What is the biggest challenge that lies ahead for you? You've come this far, you've come a hell of a long way, got the performances, regular performances, got the theatre, got Miss Saigon coming soon. What is the real challenge for you, as you see
real
it?
challenge?
Ongoing challenge.
I think it's the ongoing of this.
Keeping it going.
How do we keep it moving? How do we keep it going?
Yeah.
How do we keep the stability for the profession of live theater to be on the lives of the Thai audience, and I think that is the real challenge, to keep on doing the shows, to keep on having the people in this profession have work to do.
Thank you, Kumboy. I know we're going to talk about Miss Saigon and how you chose Miss Saigon and the performance. So thank you again in your busy schedule, and
You're welcome.
it's come a long way since 15 years ago when we last talked. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, as you can see, I have a very large bottle of water, but it's actually not for drinking. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to refill my car as a fuel source. Sound, well, a little strange. It's not, and believe it, it's right now, and you can actually have it in your own car. Today we're going to talk about a new hydrogen-powered car. Sound, well, fantastic? Just wait and see. Today I'm joining Kun Siam Panyaka, who is the Managing Director of Engineering for Hydrogen Power International Company Limited. Sawadee krap.
Sawadee krap.
Well, I have to say alternative fuels is it's the new trend these days, especially with all the energy crisis we might have in the world. We have a lot of alternative style car. We have an electric car, hydrogen fuel cell, but hybrid have a lot of term people hear about.
Yes, I know.
You have something which is even different.
Yes. Now I announce this new energy. This is a hydrogen car.
Now, how does this different from other hydrogen vehicle that we know about?
Different because we use hydrogen mixed to the gasoline or diesel.
Oh, so other cars it's maybe a pure hydrogen.
Yes.
But this one, you actually
mix maybe about 40% to 60%.
What's the benefit?
The benefit from hydrogen system, we have a more mileage.
More mileage.
Yes. For example, this car normally use gasoline about 10 km per liter. After we use the hydrogen gas mixed to the gasoline, I have a more mileage about 14.
Almost 50% more.
Yes.
In terms of the complexity to install the system,
Uh-huh.
is it similar or not?
Yeah, very simple. Because the system we can install it in the car, but we don't touch anything in the car. Don't touch system, don't touch electrical.
Don't need to modify the engine.
Yes, I don't need modify because we keep the engine is good, very good. But we push only gas into the engine.
Now a lot of people are thinking, for the hydrogen,
Yes,
where does the hydrogen come from?
the hydrogen come from the water. I can explain. This is a hydrogen cell generator. In this we refill the pure water.
So water come into the system.
Yes, the water comes into the cell. I push the electrical in this have a electrolysis process. The process regenerate the water to the hydrogen and oxygen.
Also, it split the hydrogen and
Yes,
oxygen off.
yes, from the water.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we
Yes,
have today.
thank you.